Hello everyone, welcome to the Ranting Shop. It's me Melissa, and today we're gonna be reviewing Ready to Love Season 6, Episode 7. In this episode, the women have the power again, and they are asked to let their potential partners meet their friends. Now, this is always a very interesting part of the show because we get to see a little bit of what these contestants' personalities are, what they like having around them, what they tolerate. We typically say, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. So in a sense, we get to see more of who these people really are and what their friends think they should expect, what their friends think they could avoid, and it will give us some great insight. So we're starting off with Miss Jamala, and Jamala is having her friends meet Rara. Now it's very much premature for him to already have a nickname, but I feel like the nature of this show kind of forces a lot of the women to claim who they want immediately, and so that they could, I guess, give off this message to other women like, don't interact with my man, that's mine. Like, if you saw Brandy last week, she was kind of like a little jealous because Kayla is telling Mike, I need you to reciprocate. She's like, reciprocate what? That's my man. So she's already staked claim to Mike. The same way Jamala has already staked claim to Randall, to the point where she calls him Rara. And I feel like that was done purposely to let the other women know that that's mine and I don't want you guys, searching for him or looking for him or trying to get him or take him from me. So it's very strategic. So Randall meets the friends. I mean, they didn't grill him too much. They asked him if he was running from anything in what Washington DC, and he said no. And that's always good to know. And also they asked him if he played basketball. He said yes, and they joked a bit about the basketball teams and stuff like that. I think for the most part, it seems really cute because they asked him, like, how does he view Jamala? Does he have other connections? Of course he has other connections. I'm happy they did not really stress the other connection part too much because it's really not that important. It's just a nature of the show. But as far as Jamala being his best friend, I think that's a really good foundation for any friendship to have. I've not heard Randall speak of butterflies, but Jamala already feels butterflies. They're kissing. So I feel like it's a little bit dangerous because I think she's allowing herself to fall. And I don't think that's very wise in that setting. But if she thinks it feels right, then all power to her. I just hope she's able to navigate it as safely as she can, considering Randall still has two other connections, Kayla and Tranica. Now, to be honest with you guys, that whole love triangle thing, I feel like it was concocted by the show because I haven't really seen anything as far as him and Kayla and him and Tranica is concerned that seems as if they're all on the same level. It appears that Jamala is way ahead of the curve. So I don't know why he's still stuck on, oh, I have two more connections. Do you really? Alright, so the friends liked Jamala's date. They liked Randall. And what's not to like about Randall? Randall is super chill. He's not inoffensive, but he's not offensive. He's not vulgar. He's cool. Like, so I expected them to at least think he was a decent person. So that's not a surprise. So now we're moving on to Kadian. And we all know Kadian is a firecracker. She has no type of brakes on her mouth. She says what she wants to say. She doesn't mince her words. And we see it not really fare nicely for her in the way she's being portrayed on this show. But let's see how this date goes. I'm assuming she's going to have her friends meet Swayze, considering that is her only connection and her saving grace as to why she's still on this show. Are we surprised that Kadian's whole date ended up in an argument? I don't think anybody is surprised. Once it has to do with or pertain to Kadian, there will be an argument that arises as a result. So it's the whole date a black woman gate. So Swayze is saying that yes, when he was dating in his serial dating past, he would predominantly date Latin women. Now, technically, some Latin women are mixed with black, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, he went for the non-black woman, and the friend saw it as a red flag. I don't particularly see it as a red flag, but I do see it as him being very superficial when he dated and him not being intentional about what it is he wanted in the individual. And that's probably why he went to non-black women. I don't really see somebody's preference as a red flag. If that's what you're used to, if that's what you had been doing for a long time, it's natural for you to, and it's comfortable also for you to just do what you've been doing. The fact that now he mentioned wanting to expand his horizon, I guess speaks to his willingness to open up to black women, I suppose. I guess. I don't know what caused that mental block that made it so that he never really dated black women. It could have been a situation of self-hate, because a lot of black men, they feel like they've been bullied throughout their childhood about their skin color, and to avoid their children suffering that same trauma, they would date outside of their race so that the child has a lighter skin pigment. Nobody likes to admit to these types of things, but they happen. People have children with other people in order for them to have a child that looks a particular way. I don't know if that was the case with Swayze. Swayze was very offended when the girl was like, okay, it's a red flag because you've never dated any black women. And he was like, that's crazy because my child's mother is black, my mother is black, and so on and so forth. But he was over it. He saw it as disrespect. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a red flag on his part. I would just say that I would have to, I guess, dig deeper into more of his childhood to see why, he went along that route. But yeah, he was very offended. And then Kadian is sticking the knife even deeper into his chest by agreeing with the friend that you did say you liked non-black women, or you did say that you didn't date non-black women. And he was like, I didn't say that. So he was like pissed. Clearly we see that that's something Kadian told her friend even before the friend came to see Swayze. So she had all these preconceived notions about him and formulated opinions about him before she spoke with him. You could tell off the bat. And I think he sensed that as well, and he just wasn't interested in it, because like, what's the point of you sitting down with me trying to get to know me, and you've already judged me and painted me as this person in your head? You don't even really know me, you know what I'm saying? So I understand the frustration. But he was not having it. Kadian saw he was pissed and he left. So that was a disaster. So anyways, what do you guys think about Swayze not dating black women? Did you take it offensively when he said that, or do you feel as if that's his business, not mine? Because I feel as if a lot of black women, when black men say they don't date black women, they get offended. Like, how dare you not date a black woman? You're black. But I don't take it as something that bothers me too much. In my opinion, do whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna force you to date somebody because they look like you. I mean, date who you want to date. But some people get offended. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And let's move along to Tranica's date. Now, so far we've seen one man per date, but according to what Tranica is saying, it looks as if there's gonna be 3 men. And my guess is gonna be LJ, Justice, and possibly Randall, but I'm not quite sure. According to Tranica's friends and so forth, she's very good at being able to discern on behalf of other people, but not when it comes to herself. I agree, because Justice, out of everybody, that's some very, very curious judgment. LJ comes in first, looking like a flamingo. Alright, so while they're talking about children and other things and marriage and stuff like that, he's of course open to it and everything like that. They're not being too difficult on LJ, or as far as we could see, they go and start golfing, and then Justice comes. So it appears as if between both of the friends, one asked the questions and one just really just sits there. Anyways, they asked him about disloyalty and he mentioned he has been. Then they asked him, he said, so he was like a professional basketball player, so he was like very promiscuous and not very monogamous. And then they asked him where he saw himself in 5 years, and he said he doesn't see himself. So the friends are like, what the hell is this man saying? Like, what is he talking about right now? He mentions wanting God to work out his 5-year plan for him. Like, shouldn't you be more proactive than that? It appears like he just doesn't have a real zest for either this show, this conversation, or being in a relationship in general, or his life. Because, like, I'm not getting anything from Justice. Those friends did not seem enthused, happy, or even a bit interested in Justice and his silly, dumb responses. Meanwhile, Tranica and LJ are golfing someplace else, which is weird. I find it very strange that Tranica left her 2 other friends to speak with Justice while she was there with LJ. So how is she gonna know his reactions, not just even verbally but also physically, like what his facial expression says? Like, how could she judge it on her own if it's only her friends being there to speak with Justice? I find that very weird. So the piece de resistance arrives. Randall in his magenta shirt, and he's ready to roll. So far, the 2 men have been meh. So let's see what Randall gives. So the friends are being super nosy, asking him if they've kissed and stuff like that. And Randall was being very vague, which is the gentlemanly thing to do, because that's not your business.
My level of connection.
Justice irritates me. Like, you're on a show where people date multiple other people, and you're talking about, oh, your whole feeling pertaining to Tranica has changed because of seeing her in a group setting and hearing other men talking about their connection with her. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Like, I'm completely baffled at this stage, because you come on a show where the premise is for the contestants to date each other and to date more than one of each other. And you come here talking about, oh, now that I know other men interact with you, let me just let you be with your other connections. That's dumb. He's not even fighting. He's not even trying. So off the bat, now we know he's not interested in Tranica in that way again. So it appears that his one and only connection he has left is Looney. So I really want to see how he navigates his one shot to stay on the show. Not that I think he wants to stay on the show. So after all the men left and everything, she was getting her friends' feedback, and of course, to nobody's surprise, they don't like Justice. Justice just has this arrogance as if he's owed things. He's owed a conversation, he's owed a date, he's owed a lot of things that he's not owed. I mean, you don't look good enough for you to feel that entitled. Like, that's my opinion of it. And the friends were like, we don't like him. He uses the Bible to try and maneuver his way into or out of situations, conversations, and they just see right through it. And it just baffles me that even after that, Tranica is like, oh, it's so disappointing because I like Justice. What exactly is this woman seeing in Justice that we're not seeing? I'm so confused. And she genuinely looked or had the audacity to look disappointed. Like, Justice is a person who's not, and that's a good thing. He's not afraid to show his behind. Whether it makes him look good, bad, favorable, unfavorable, he shows it. And that's good because then you get to choose whether you want to engage with that or not. But after he shows you it, you saying that, oh, I was still hanging on to hope. Hope for what? Hope for what? That man doesn't seem interested in you, Tranica. Randall, I agree. He seems nice, but Tranica is not his top connection. And I feel like he should stop saying he has two other connections. He only has one, and that's Jamala, period. I understand trying to keep the show interesting by saying you have multiple connections, but stop that. You have one connection. So now we're going over to the next set of women. So we're back and we're talking about Cherise. So Cherise is allowing her friend to meet Samson. Of course, Samson is Cherise's only connection. Nobody else is interested romantically with Cherise. Neither has Cherise opened herself up to anybody else romantically. I suppose she kept the door slightly ajar for Samson because that is literally her last and final hope. So Samson comes in, the dog is, I guess, welcoming to him, everybody's welcoming to him, and so Samson has a clear plan of what he wants moving forward. He wants to be engaged, he wants to be married. I guess he wants to start on that train because he's already hitting that age. He's almost 50, single. You can't still be living that life. I mean, nobody wants to be a Hugh Hefner in real life because it gets lonely. Men don't want to really admit to it, but at some point it gets extremely lonely when you're on your bed and you turn around and there's nobody there. You know, maybe just a random woman who's gonna leave the next day. And it's just sad when you really think about it. But yeah, he wants to get that ball rolling. He's getting old. He has no time for games. So of course the friend likes Samson because Samson gave a lot of textbook answers, a lot of very idealistic responses that any woman would just run with because women like to hear that stuff. So of course the friend liked him, and Cherise feels as if they're deepening their connection. Do I think they're deepening their connection? No. Do I feel like they're just gonna hold on to each other until the show ends? Absolutely yes. It's just very difficult for me to be convinced that Cherise is getting deeper with anybody in this process because she seems to me like a brick wall. Like nothing can get through, nothing can get past, nothing can get over. It's just a show. She's gonna give you a little bit, and you know that should suffice for the show, but not beyond that. I'd be surprised if Sharice and Samson make it beyond this show. Now, you guys, let's get into the situation with Kayla, Mike, and Randall. So, this date solidified to me and to anybody else watching this episode that Kayla really likes Mike. She really likes Mike, and I think a lot of it is physical attraction to Mike, because it cannot be anything else. In the beginning of the show, Mike spoke on not really wanting children. Even if he didn't verbally say it, his facial expressions and body language alluded to him not wanting any more children, right? And remember, that was something that was special for Brandy, because she hadn't had children and she wanted to be a mom. So yes, he said to Brandy that he's willing and open to have more children, but he's saying that because he likes Brandy. But on the other hand, Kayla is too young, and Kayla wants kids, and I don't think I want kids. Or at least his facial expression spoke to him not really wanting kids. So I don't know what is there beyond Kayla having a physical attraction with Mike. Like, it seems purely superficial. I don't see the depth. I've never heard the depth. All I've heard is, as LLB rightfully said, is Mike chipping at Kayla a little. Like, you know, when a woman is too confident and a man wants to be the most confident in the relationship, you will start to say little things to make you question, you know, a lot of your self-worth and self-esteem. Or your butt is getting too big, or that dress is making you look baggy, or you're starting to wrinkle around your eyes. Just anything that will make you self-conscious is what a very threatened man would use to kind of bring you down a notch. And that speaks to his lack of confidence in himself as a man. Because for you to want to bring down a woman in order to make yourself bigger than her speaks to your lack of confidence. So I see him doing that to Kayla, but beyond that, I don't see anything good, anything genuine. And watching it, Kayla looks very pathetic, because it's like she wants somebody that doesn't want her. But I feel like beyond that attraction she has with him, it's probably for the best that she not engage with him. But anyways, let's see what that date looked like. According to her friend Kelly, she's definitely ignoring the red flags. As I stated to you guys before, I haven't seen Mike do anything really positive with Kayla. For Kayla, he didn't speak any positive words to Kayla. There's nothing that's been positive in regards to Mike and Kayla's dynamic. The only thing has been sexual tension. Beyond that, absolutely nothing. So every time we're asked, or they ask Mike a question pertaining to his connection with Kayla, all he gives is very superficial responses. Oh, she's a video vixen dream and this and that, and there's nothing of depth that he speaks of. And the friend asked him again, okay, where do you see yourself with Kayla? And his answer is essentially he doesn't really see anything very clear cut with them. And that just speaks to a man that has clearly decided that he wants to be for another person, and doesn't quite know how to say it to Kayla. He doesn't quite want to cut it off just yet. But then, or maybe he wants to cut it off and doesn't know how to. I don't know what it is, but let it go. I don't know if Mike is truly serious about that whole kissing thing, but he's making it such a huge deal. And in my opinion, it's so unnecessary. So what, she kissed other people? This process allows you to explore what you need to explore with, who you need to explore with, to see and determine if that is a viable connection or not. So if she felt the need to kiss people in order to determine, okay, is there a connection there, is there more there, then all power to her. It's not her fault you didn't do it. She wasn't preventing you from doing it. You guys didn't state, okay, the rules are we're not gonna kiss each other. There were no rules made. So you making this a huge deal, to me, is another reason as to why you just secretly don't want anything to do with her, but too coward to tell her that. Randall comes in. He senses that she's uncomfortable, awkward, squirming the entire time, not giving him eye contact. He's, on the other hand, trying to make eye contact with her, trying to connect with her in some way, and he was just unable to do so. And their friend Kelly, she saw that and she's like, this man has been trying to connect with you and you're literally avoiding eye contact with him because you're so into Mike, even though Mike's not giving you nothing to hold on to. So Randall felt as if a lot of his interaction with Kayla has been interrupted, so to speak, and they've never really gotten an opportunity to speak. And if they do get that opportunity, they'd be able to determine what they're gonna do moving forward. And the fact that that's not happened, it has to be frustrating, especially on Randall's part, because it's like, I'm ready to see where this goes, and you're essentially, I feel as if she's more interested in Mike, and that's why she's not giving Randall the energy that he requires to determine like what is gonna go on in regards to the both of them. And Kelly was so on point with telling her that Mike was not being straightforward. Mike, his response has been consistent, which is, I don't know where I am with Kayla. I don't know what this is with Kayla. I don't know where we're going with Kayla. It seems like the same thing with Kayla. And you're still holding on to hope for that, for a level of uncertainty that hasn't changed. That's crazy. And then Kayla starts crying because she's being made aware that she's basically doomed to repeat her same dating mistakes, because it seems that she places too much emphasis on physical appearance and physical chemistry than a genuine, nice, loving person that will treat her nicely. And a lot of women do this. We go for the one that we have the more chemistry with and end up suffering in the end, because beyond that chemistry, there was really nothing there, and she's consistently ignoring all of his belittlings, all of his disrespect, all of his vulgarity, just because, oh, I'm attracted to him. That's crazy. And Randall is here wanting your attention, wanting you to give him a chance, and you're not allowing him to. And she comes to the realization that yes, she is kind of sabotaging herself a bit, but then in that type of environment, either way, it's like you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, because if I decide to go for Randall, will he choose Jamala instead? If I decide to go for Mike, will he choose Brandy instead? So in that sense, she doesn't really have any strong connections. And the men really are the ones with the power, because they have women that are very much interested in them. But Kayla, the men to me could take her or leave her, to be honest. I thought Brandy's only connection would have been Mike, but I was not pleasantly surprised, but I was surprised to see Samson there as well, bringing in some tulips to her. Now, what's actually interesting is that, Mike is so hung up on who kissed who, and she kissed you and you kissed her and I didn't kiss anybody, so I don't like that. Brandy is his number one connection. How is he gonna feel that Brandy, accidentally or not, kiss Samson. I'm really curious to see what his response is going to be pertaining to that accidental kiss with Samson. Will he have the same energy that he's been having with Kayla, or will he let it slide? So, of course, we see Mike in a totally different type of standpoint whenever he's with Brandy. We see him more receptive, we see him more open, we see him more vulnerable, we see him more willing to compromise with Brandy. He was open to have more kids with Brandy. You know, he was open to potentially see a future with Brandy, not with Kayla, with Brandy. So it's very evident that he's made his choice, and his choice is Brandy. Okay, nobody's surprised there. Even Samson saw the connection. It was undeniable, and he knows he couldn't compete with it, so he didn't. You know, and it's just sometimes you see a connection and there's no need for any explanations. It is what it is, and everybody just has to accept it. And I guess we see that with Brandy and Mike. Now, as far as Looney is concerned, Looney and LJ and Justice, I'm just very, I'm a little baffled as to what Looney is seeing in Justice. LJ is talking about not getting the phone calls reciprocated, like she's not answering her calls, she's not really as active with him as I guess she used to be. They used to be talking on the phone a lot, especially when she had the C19. So he's like, what's been going on, considering she's his top connection? And it appears as if, although she's gonna say that she's not a phone person, I don't think that that's the reason. I think she's starting to lose interest in LJ, and her interest is, it seems like it's turning into a Justice connection. I don't know where that connection comes from. I don't see anything in common with Justice and Looney. I don't see no sparks. I don't see anything. So I'm confused. And before LJ comes in, Justice is talking about some dumb stuff about, oh, he doesn't have to touch a woman sexually, he just looks at them, and oh my gosh, I don't want to hear that nastiness. And then he's talking about he's an island boy, LJ, and that he cannot stay away from sex for too long. Wow. So Looney's friend feels as if Justice would be a better fit for her than LJ, and I am shocked. I am surprised. Never would I ever think anybody would think that Justice was a good connection with anyone. So that baffles me. Anyway, so now we're doing the women's lounge. Alright, I'm not going to talk about everybody's date and everything like that, but what I will speak on is Kadian and her not wanting to address the situation with Swayze with the group of women. I feel like one of the reasons why she didn't want to is because she's wrong, and she didn't handle it in the best way. And Charisse did not hesitate to really put the information out on the front street. And she said basically Kadian is telling this man that he only dates Latina women, and he took it offensively, and so on and so forth. As usual, Kadian is absolutely dismissive and doesn't want to hear a peep from Charisse. So anyways, Kadian decided to expound on everything, and she mentioned him storming out and saying peace out or whatever the case is. Regardless of the fact, the point of the matter is he was upset and felt like Kadian was accusing him of things that he doesn't think is true. Then Looney was like, oh well, if he's gonna go out of his way to not date a black woman, that and other things make me not really interested in him. It's not even really that, but it's more so everything else. And so when it came down to it, it was either LJ or Justice. And for a second there, I thought LJ would be sent home, because a lot of the women stated that he gave them friend vibes. And to my surprise, Justice got sent home, and Kayla was over it. Kayla just wanted to do her job and leave. She didn't want to hear anything he had to say. No further comments, nothing. You're not ready to love? Bye. And that was super hilarious. Next week, we're going to see the women talking to the men's, I think, family members or friends. And we see Mike has Kayla and Brandy. And we see that it's gonna be a very interesting situation. Now, watching from a viewer's perspective, we see that it's always been Brandy and Mike. But from Kayla's perspective, maybe things were a little bit different. Anyways, you guys, let me know what you think in this show's episode. Did you like it? Did you not? What do you think about Kayla crying? Do you think that she knew she was going into the wrong path but just allowed herself to, what is going on? Let me know in the comment section. Subscribe. See you next time. Bye.